7 years, child. 7 years I spent in Georgia. I mean, the dirt roads, the suburban communities, the roadkill, quote-unquote country life, etc., etc. Child, it was what it was, but could I ever live down there in the South? Again, well, I'm sorry, I can't. What? Listen, I'm not a Southerner, okay? I'm definitely not an American, all right? I don't drive. I prefer to walk everywhere if I could, and you can't do that down there. What? I'm black, okay? And also, it takes too long to reach anywhere down there, and they got wild animals roaming free, okay? Whether it be bears, coyotes, I'm not for it. And also, there's also this Emmett Till thing running in the back of my mind, but we're not going to talk about that. But yeah, I ain't got time. But I will say this: the only thing I liked about the South is Publix, Waffle House, and the heat. That's it. Other than that, it's NYC all day, every day, which you mean. Shout out to Brooklyn, shout out to Flatbush, born and raised. Farmers markets, the MCA, Labor Day weekend, you already know what's up. Like, come on now. Like, what? They trying to raise fare hikes again? Fuck. Oh my God, I ain't always broke, but I see I'm tired for you. Yeah, that's me. But even with the violence, foolishness, and overpricing of everything, okay, NYC will always be home. And on that last point, baby, with the way rents are rising higher than the skyscrapers that they're always building, yeah, I may have to jump ship, but to where? Because I'm not going back down south. The west just isn't it, and I'm already on the east. Maybe New Jersey. Scratch that. I mean, scratch that shit. But yeah. Where do I go? Oh yeah, and also the north. Yeah, we can't do that. Why? Tout doucement, je veux voyager. En danger, amour et de liberté. Shout out to Canada, but I'm not the only one, okay? Everybody, I mean everyone, is trying to go somewhere else, someplace else, get their own, have their own. But with all this talk of alleged funding for affordable housing this, owning property and or land that, and the aspect of soon possibly it'll be a crime to sleep outside pending a Supreme Court decision coming out any day on the subject as of June the 5th, 2024, we'll update you on details as we get them. Let's talk about homes, shelters, the or a place to live, or pretty much a home. Okay, let's talk about this, shall we? A quote-unquote home is designed as one's place of residence or origin. Now, I use quote-unquote home in quotation marks since home is different for everyone. Some have an actual house, others it's an apartment, a car, a condo, a room, a mansion, a mobile home, a tent outside, etc., etc. Either way, it's I'm going to my house or I'm going home, period. Well, for some. Others, Sister Lana, Mr. Ray, I think you said it best. But there's no use in talking to people who have a home. They don't know what it's like to seek safety in other people. For home to be wherever you lie your head. And especially with people getting priced out of the cities they've lived in their entire lives, that will very well become a reality for a lot of people. Now, which form of quote-unquote self-shelter do you choose? Well, yeah. Let's see. Setting the issues of cost aside, let's have a hypothetical where you won the lottery and have, let's say, 50 million. You could buy any form of a quote-unquote home you want. Which one is it going to be? Well, it depends. There's a house, but what kind? There are singles houses, family houses, tiny homes, townhomes, and not to mention this, there are different styles of homes, whether it be colonial, Cape Cod, federal, split level, etc., etc. And then there's also the question of to rent or to own, as in the case of the apartment or condo. There are co-ops which combine the stock market and the HOA, which we'll talk about that later on, believe me. And then there are other cases where with the quote-unquote where we have people with quote unquote real means, they actually buy the land. Oh yes, actual land, baby, acres. Yes, Ari Fletcher settings and all. And, they build whatever they want on it, whether it be a big mansion, a tiny home, a container home. Yes, that does exist. Go look on YouTube. Or put their quote unquote mobile home, or as it's classically known as an RV, on it. And for those without the quote unquote means, it's your car, it's a bench, a floor, a train station, a public atrium, whatever, etc., etc. Now, home is wherever you lie your head at night or in the morning. It's hard to search for a comfortable place to sleep in the streets, especially now as of the 21st of August, or last week, when the Supreme Court ruled that it is illegal to sleep outside. What godforsaken country do I live in? I would love to know. Now, for those with homes, child, everyone has a different struggle. Those renting, there's a security deposit, first, last, rent hikes, maintenance, repairs. If you got a good landlord, if you manage city asses. If not, you can see quote unquote construction, quote unquote renovation, things like that. And now with those with actual homes, there is mortgage and property taxes, renovations, the housing market, period. And oh yes, HOAs, or the homeowners associations, which are a group of self-inflated homeowners on a board to tell everyone else what they can do with their own quote unquote property. And I say quote unquote property since, unless you own the land, it's an upgraded lease at best. And to those who are in between and or are just straight up homeless, check out Session 3, Episode 5, King is Fair Done, and Session 5, Episode 3, When Disaster Strikes. Well, I talk about homelessness and natural disasters, be it hurricanes, wildfires, floods, tornadoes, and earthquakes, and death. And, well, a little anyways. And for the latter, speaking of, when we're talking about the latter, natural disasters, depending on what your policy or HOI is, homeowners insurance is, FEMA may or may not be there with you today, tomorrow, or 5 years from now, if Puerto Rico and New Orleans are any examples. But hey, no place is a complete paradise. Okay, you're gonna have to compromise with something. Out west, great sunny days, but you better be prepared to evacuate when your house burns down again for the second or third time in 2 months. Down south, it's great temps and surf, but when high tide and tropical heat blends with warm ocean water, get the sand, lifeboat, and or airboats for the rescues. In the Midwest, interesting, but tornadoes will huff, puff, and blow your house away with everything or everyone in it. And up north, it is literally a winter wonderland year-round. But that's just here in the U.S. and other countries around the world. The extremes are much more dire and severe. For more, please go search up the earthquakes in Syria and Turkey and Haiti, respectively, the floods in China, and cyclones pretty much anywhere, really. That's just a complete devastation. Now me, do I want a house or an apartment? Yeah, the latter. I don't need that much room. Or maybe a condo. I don't know. I would just have to do more research. Mortgage or rent? Well, one you can own, I think, and the other, it's just outlasting until either it goes co-op or until you get outpriced. Or until your neighborhood becomes completely unrecognizable as a result of gentrification, which that is also defined as the establishment of quote-unquote luxury upscale apartment buildings in quote-unquote low-income / inner city communities to raise property values or entice more well-off prospective owners / renters. Yeah, that's something. But if you can't manage either, child, whether eviction or foreclosure, it's gonna be hard. Actually, it's gonna be even harder to find a new quote-unquote home. And Lord knows it was already hard before 2020. Whether it be people running and stampings for vouchers for housing assistance, the house market crash, and the lack of affordable housing to begin with as a result of lack of funding in favor of private quote-unquote luxury contractors, and of course the housing market in general, and so on and so forth. But baby, when I tell you after 2020, all that shockingly, but not surprisingly, accelerated. Section 8 recently opened, and was gone within 2 days. I may or may not have been able to apply since I did not meet the requirements. Surprise, surprise. But hey, it was gone within 2 days. I'm not exaggerating about that. I really am not. This is NYC. Actually, child active, you can get snatched up, period. And that coupled with most people don't make a livable wage and are spending 70 to 80% of their weekly paycheck on housing in one state and working in another, double tax, or in some cases you can live in one state and your landlord can evict you from another country. Yep, that happens too. The US, you can be free, you can do whatever you want, you can live whatever you want, if you can afford it anyways. But if not, come in by other ways. As a migrant, you'll get housing and allegedly a debit card prepaid, child. And I don't know, child. Again, this is all that I just discussed. That's just here in the U.S. When it comes to housing abroad, I mean, child, from living in a war zone, living on a hill, or just in a remote country, or just in a remote place far from essentials, to pretty much living in an area that's susceptible to certain environmental disaster areas or next to chemicals such as diseases a la animal resting places or next to factories and plants. Child, it's amazing anyone wants to or can live anywhere. I mean, I don't know. Choosing between whether to heat your home or to buy groceries, I don't know. That's something. Actually, you have some people doing that shit here, but that's definitely something going on in the UK. My God. I mean, oh goodness, I don't know. And on that note, all right, it's time to go look for housing again. But before I go on Zillow, Street Easy, or even Craigslist to try to look for a one bedroom, one bath, or even a very spacious studio in BK, New York, let me go see. Let me go do my usual things and just leave you with a couple things. Number one, whether it's a house, an apartment, a condo, a mobile home, or a car, be proud of the space that you have to call home, because it's one thing to have a place to live, it's another not to. Believe me, any place to hang your hat and call home, you better cherish it, especially while you still got it. Number two, read the fine print of lease agreements, housing payments, terms and conditions, deeds, anything that has to do with a contract or an agreement. Please read it carefully and in full. And number three, if all that doesn't appeal to you, try consider moving to a place you never would have thought. You'd be surprised how well it might work out. And number four, a house is not a home. Home may not necessarily be where the heart is. And I don't know. Little boxes on the hillside. Little boxes just made out of ticky-tacky, and we all live in university where they are put in boxes and they come out all the same. And the boys go into business and marry and raise a family in boxes made of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same.